Your kid starts a sentence, gets halfway through, and says, "Never mind." You let it go because it sounded small. It wasn't small. That was the 4th time this month, and each time you let it go, you confirmed something they were already starting to suspect. Feeling unheard doesn't announce itself. There's no slammed door, no dramatic speech, just a series of tiny, forgettable moments that quietly add up to a kid who's decided most of what's actually going on in their head isn't worth bringing to you. These signs don't look like a crisis. They look like a quiet Tuesday. Here are 7 silent signs your child feels unheard, and what each one is actually telling you underneath. Number 1, the unfinished sentence. Your kid starts talking, gets a few words in, and stops. Never mind, it's not a big deal. You nod and move on because pressing feels pushy. Here's what's actually happening. They started a cost calculation mid-sentence. Is this worth finishing? And the answer came back no, based on evidence you gave them before. A distracted glance, a rushed reply, a "we'll talk later" that never happened. It's not that the topic stopped mattering, it's that somewhere around word 6, the risk started to outweigh the payoff. Stanford research on childhood disclosure shows the unfinished sentence is one of the earliest, most reliable signals that a kid has learned to self-censor in real time, long before any bigger sign shows up. The fix isn't chasing the sentence down or demanding they finish it. It's saying, "I'm listening, take your time," and then actually staying quiet long enough past the point that feels comfortable for them to decide on their own that it's safe to finish. Number 2, narrating instead of confiding. Your kid tells you exactly what happened at school in perfect factual order, times, names, sequence of events, with zero opinion or feeling attached anywhere in it. It sounds like communication. It's actually a news report, delivered by someone who's learned that the facts are the only part of the story that doesn't get argued with, corrected, or turned into a lesson. Harvard research on emotional disclosure found that kids who don't feel heard shift from confiding, which includes feelings, to narrating, which is just facts. Because facts are safe and feelings are the part that's gotten dismissed before, even gently, even accidentally. If your kid gives you the play-by-play but never how they felt about it, don't just accept the report and move on. Ask directly. How did that feel? Not what happened. How did it feel? Then wait. Give the feeling somewhere to actually go. Number 3, the pre-apology. Sorry, this is dumb, but before literally anything they're about to tell you, a worry, a want, a question, a simple request. That apology is doing a lot of quiet work. It's pre-negotiating the cost of taking up space before they've even taken any, softening the ground in advance in case the response is annoyance instead of attention. Columbia research on self-worth and voice found kids who habitually preface their own needs with an apology have typically learned somewhere, sometime, that their needs are an inconvenience worth softening in advance, not something that gets a simple, uncomplicated yes. Don't just say, "You don't need to apologize," which usually just adds one more thing for them to feel self-conscious about. Actually respond like whatever comes next matters immediately, warmly, so the apology stops being necessary because the evidence stops supporting it. Number 4, the rehearsed delivery. You can tell they practiced this. The wording is too clean, too planned, delivered almost in one breath, like they memorized it in the mirror first. Complete with a slightly formal phrase that doesn't sound like how they normally talk. Kids don't rehearse things they feel safe just saying out loud, unscripted. They rehearse things they're afraid of getting wrong, or afraid will be shut down if delivered imperfectly, the same way you might rehearse a hard conversation with a boss. Yale research on communication anxiety in children found rehearsed disclosure correlates directly with a history of being interrupted or corrected mid-sentence in past conversations, which teaches kids that the first draft of their thoughts isn't good enough to say out loud. When you notice it, let the whole rehearsed thing play out without jumping in early, even if you can see exactly where it's going 3 sentences ahead. They need to land the plane themselves every single time until landing it stops feeling so hard. Quick blinko favor before we keep going, because apparently 97% of you are still out here not subscribed, silently judging me from the shadows like my own kid at dinner. If any of these 7 are landing a little too close to home, that button's right there. Already subscribed? Genuinely, you're the reason I can still afford good pens for this whiteboard. Let's keep going, because the next one is the test most parents don't even realize they're failing. Number 5, the trivial test run. Before bringing you anything real, your kid brings you something tiny first, a small complaint, a minor question, almost like a probe sent out to check the weather before committing to the actual trip. How you respond to the small, low-stakes thing quietly decides whether the real thing ever shows up at all, that day or any other day. Northwestern research on trust building in families calls this low-stakes testing, and it found kids run these tests specifically before disclosing anything vulnerable, consciously or not, almost never announcing that's what they're doing. Treat the tiny thing like it matters every single time, even when it's inconvenient, even when you're tired, because you're not actually being asked about the tiny thing at all. You're being evaluated for whether the big thing gets a fair hearing later. Number 6, going quiet exactly when you get distracted. Not randomly quiet, timed quiet, down to the second. The moment your eyes drift to your phone or your attention visibly splits, they stop talking, mid-thought, without finishing, without even seeming to decide to stop. That's not a coincidence, and it's not them being oversensitive or dramatic about it. University of Washington research on attentional attunement found kids track parental attention with remarkable, almost unsettling precision, and adjust their disclosure in real time based on how present you actually are, not how present you claim to be or think you are. If you catch yourself doing this, don't just apologize verbally and ask them to continue where they left off. Put the distraction all the way down first, physically, visibly, so they can see the shift happen, not just hear you say it happened. Number 7, and this is the one that stings the most once you actually notice it. Venting to someone else while you're standing right there, texting a friend about something upsetting instead of telling you, even though you're in the same room, close enough to hear, available enough to help, physically present in every way that should matter. It's not a phone addiction, and it's not that friends matter more now. It's a location decision about where it's actually safe to be honest, and that location, at least for this particular thing, isn't you right now. Johns Hopkins research on peer versus parental disclosure found this specific pattern. Present parent, absent disclosure is one of the clearest indicators that a child has quietly reclassified who they trust with the real, messy version of events. You can't demand your way back into that category, no matter how hurt it makes you feel. You rebuild it the exact same slow way it was lost, one small honest response at a time, until being honest with you stops feeling like a risk worth avoiding. Here's the thing about all 7 of these signs. None of them are loud. None of them look like a kid in crisis. They look like a shrug, a fast text, a sentence that trails off, a joke instead of an answer. That's exactly what makes them easy to miss and important to notice, because a kid who feels truly heard doesn't perform any of these signs. They just talk messily at inconvenient times about things that don't matter, because at some point they learned it's safe to. That's the whole goal, not perfect conversations, just enough safe ones that the real stuff eventually shows up too. Which of these 7 have you noticed lately, maybe even this week? Tell me below, and if you want the video that breaks down the exact sentence that reopens the door once a kid's gone quiet, that one's next.